Oh, there we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 49 of the More Than Macros podcast. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Riki.
Hey.
Everybody, welcome Miss Kelsey Kiel.
Hi, Kelsey.
Hi. As you guys know, because I'm pretty sure you follow her, she is a crazy, strong CrossFitter, and she's doing really well right now in the open. We are done with 2 weeks, and she's 75th in the world, and then she's top 10 for the Northeast. So that's really good, especially for the Northeast, because isn't that like supposed to be like one of the strongest regions, like one of the hardest?
Yeah, that's what people say. But I'm scared of coming back to the Northeast, to be honest with you. But pretty cool. 2 weeks. We're only 2 weeks in, but it's pretty cool so far.
That's awesome. Why don't you tell, so before we dive into where you're at now, why don't we start off with maybe if people aren't following you or are following you but don't know some of your backstory, because you actually just posted a before and after picture pretty recently. So why don't you tell people a little bit more about yourself, kind of how you got started in CrossFit and kind of where you got to today?
Oh, yeah. So I played sports my whole life. I was like a soccer, basketball, I swam a little bit, but I ended up getting recruited to a small school in upstate New York, where I played soccer, and I graduated, I moved back home, moved back with my parents, and I was coaching soccer a little bit, and still playing in some adult pickup leagues, and I actually ended up breaking my ankle, and it was at this point in my life where I was kind of partying a lot, drinking, eating whatever I wanted to eat, going to Planet Fitness for an hour, standing on the elliptical or the treadmill, watching TV. I don't know. So that was my life. And then I broke my ankle, and I was on crutches. This was the first time I ever injured myself to the point where I was out of all of it.
Wow.
Crutches, couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And it just kind of fueled my unhappiness. So, the drinking continued, a lot of eating, just not happy with where I was at that point. And I got off the crutches. I started going back to Planet Fitness. And my sister, who's actually in the Navy, she was stationed overseas and in Africa. And she always said that what they would do is they would go to CrossFit and she would go to work and go to sleep. That was her life for an entire year. And that's where she first started CrossFit. So she then came back to the U.S. and she was at home, and it was the February, I think, in February of 2014. And she was like, come to a CrossFit class. And I knew what CrossFit was. I always kind of made fun of it. My friends were like, why do that when you can just go play soccer? I don't know. We just always do. But I was like, fine, I'll go. Just kind of like how she talked me into going to see Twilight in theaters. She just made me go to a CrossFit class. I was like, fine, whatever. And so I went to the class, and I was so bad. The first workout was Helen, which is running, kettlebell swings, and pull-ups. And I just 2 thick green bands on the pull-ups, the lightest kettlebell. Not that that's, that's where everyone starts, but I am a competitive person by nature. So I was like, okay, I'm coming back. I got to figure this out. So that's kind of where it all started. It never, had you told me back in 2014 this is where I'd be now, I would be like, you're out of your mind. But I just started going. I was 3 times a week membership, just, helping the gym owner. I kind of knew the gym owner, so I would be like, can I clean to get a discount on my membership? I was just kind of just graduated, trying to figure out all of that. thinking I wanted to go into the marketing field. I studied marketing in college. So I was wearing those structured dresses and going to my big girl job in the city of Philadelphia, and still just kind of using the 3 times a week at CrossFit as like, that's my workout, and that's going to allow me to continue to party and eat and do all those things on the weekends. So, the unhealthy habits were still there, even though I was in the gym a little bit more often, and definitely, challenging myself in the gym, but not to like any crazy extent. And then I moved into the city and had to take a break from CrossFit because just the expense. I was paying rent. I was now I didn't have that magical fridge where you have what you have.
Yeah.
And there's more food. Buy my food. It was crazy. So I took like a couple, I think it was like 3 months off. Just kept partying. It was like I moved in with 3 of my girlfriends and in a new city, new to us, and we just had a fun summer. And then I was like, okay, I need to get back in the gym a little bit. So I found a gym right by my house, and this was going into the 2015 season of the CrossFit season, and I was weighing going into the 2015 Open. That was when 15A, that the clean and jerk was programmed.
Yeah.
And the first part of that workout, I did got 600 in the region, or maybe even 800, something great, not good. I was doing singles on my toes to bar, everything like that. But then for the clean and jerk, I ended up getting second in my region.
Wow.
And I remember okay, clearly I figured out the strength part. Granted, I had so much to learn. I didn't even know what I was doing, really. But I thought, okay, if I can figure out the other half of this, or the other 3/4, or the other, big part of this, the, gymnastics and actually being able to breathe heavy kind of thing, maybe I could be all right at CrossFit. So I started, dedicating more time in the gym a little bit, and it was at this point where I was almost 210 pounds.
Wow.
I remember...
How tall are you?
Sorry?
How tall are you?
I'm 5'7".
Okay.
Little over 5'7", 5'7" and a half, maybe.
Okay.
Not a good day.
Yeah, I'm a relatively tall athlete for, when we compare average female CrossFitters, I guess.
But that's still a lot to be on your frame.
Yeah. I remember, we didn't know, how they were going to tie break that 15A or whatever, and I thought, I hope they don't do something where you have to step on the scale, because I'd heard of, that kind of thing where they make you step on the scale, because I remember my games profile said 195, and I was like, wait, yeah, I weighed that at one point, but if they asked me to step on the scale, there's no way I'm going to have 195 on that scale.
Yeah.
And it was kind of that moment where I was like, okay, we got to figure something out here. So I started, that's when I bought Chrissy Cagney's book, her first flexible dieting book, and I started just kind of doing it on my own. And I think the first couple months of me doing it, and mind you, I wasn't strict at all. I was just kind of just figuring out the macro thing. I probably got down to about 200, maybe a little bit less. And my weight, just in general, even to this day, fluctuates like crazy. I could be up 8 pounds one day and be like, what the hell? Be back down. But that's just how my body is. So I probably got down a little bit just doing it on my own. But it wasn't until May of 2015 where I did this individual competition, and I took first. There was nothing crazy high skilled or anything like that, but I actually hurt my back in that competition, and it took me back out of the gym. So I was then sidelined again, and it was then I was like, okay, I've put this much work into CrossFit and into my nutrition just kind of on my own, that's when I hired Chrissy as my coach. And she helped me figure out the macro thing better, more, I was on it a little bit more strictly, and even more so because I knew I wasn't in the gym, and I was injured, and I wanted to make sure I took care of my back and everything like that. And then after that, it just kind of, once I figured out the back issue that I was dealing with, everything moved very quickly. So I switched gyms. I kind of got a coach. I didn't really know that, like, you should get a coach for CrossFit, not just have your, do your classes. I got a coach. I switched gyms, and I just started surrounding myself with the kind of athlete that I wanted to be. Like, I saw how hard they were working, and it wasn't like they were games athletes. They were just people who were putting in, they were going to comp class and that kind of thing. But looking back, like, I can see how all these dots connected. Like, I went to this new gym, which opened up a door to me meeting Rachel Goldenberg, who owns CrossFit Parallax down in Claremont, New Jersey. And I trained with her a little bit, and that's how I met Kelly Baker, who's now my best friend in the entire world. And all these, doors opened up, and that's how I ended up starting to train with them down at Parallax. And then just took off. Like, the 2016 season, that's when we decided that we were going to try to put the team together to try to go team with Parallax, which meant that Kelly and I, who both lived in Philadelphia, had to travel the hour and 15 minutes to Parallax to get our majority of training down there.
You guys have to mark that down for the open.
Yeah, all the selfies, all the, like, workout that meant, and I was still working full time, and Kelly is a teacher, so we would get in our car Friday at like 4:30, get down to Parallax, get a training session in Friday night, go to Rachel's house, sleep over all weekend, get training in Saturday, Sunday, drive back up to start the work week. So it was one of the craziest. It was just nuts. 8 months of that, and
wow.
I mean, I wouldn't take it back for the world. It was amazing. And then, so we qualified regionals, and it was at that point we were like, oh, yay, regionals. And then we actually almost won the Northeast region as a team. We were behind Dynamics by 4 points, which was crazy, set some world records. It was just like the craziest year. Went to the games, finished 19th at the games. So,
and that was 16?
Yeah, 2016.
So that was a year, a little over a year that you actually started taking CrossFit seriously. That's crazy.
I had no choice but to get better because I was with these phenomenal athletes, which was so cool. And I am one of the lucky ones because I was able to train with them as often as I did. And still, and this is when I got like a little bit crazy about like my nutrition, my sleep, like finally, putting my obsessive behaviors that used to be attached to the drinking and partying and stuff, being a little bit more healthy, which is, looking back, it's pretty cool to see that. So that was 2016, and then I actually ended up moving out west last year to work for Chrissy. She kind of took a chance on me to mentor me and take me under her wing as a nutrition coach. So I'd been working with her for probably a year and a half at that point, or I don't know the exact math, but I'd been working with her as my coach, and then she really likes to hire from within, which is pretty cool. And so she decided to bring me out there and mentor me, and we kind of knew that the team wasn't going to be a team anymore anyway. We had a few people moving away and family stuff and that kind of thing. We knew that Parallax was going to kind of fold after our first year. So that's why I was okay with that move out west and kind of trying to go for individual, just see like if I could, do that on the West Coast. So that's what 2017 was focused on. It was just kind of, I always say I'm not really an open athlete. I'm one of the bigger ones. When there's not a strength piece in there, I'm like, ooh, burpees. Ooh. But So last year was just focusing on trying to survive the Open and trying to get to regionals. That was like the ultimate goal, was qualify in that Southwest region, and ended up doing that, which was pretty cool. I ended the Open at the 22nd spot, and they take the top 20. But there was enough girls that went team out of the Southwest that I got my invite. Like a month later, I was stressed about that invite, but got the invite. And then Dave Castro announced all the workouts, and there was no barbell, and my heart was broken. Love that, but it was cool. I kind of like shifted some of my goals to be like just go to regionals and have fun and do your best kind of thing. Like I had no really expectations, and I surprised myself. I did better than I thought. I finished in 11th in the South region at the regional, so that was cool. That was my 2017 season, and that was fun. That was just like changing the mindset a little bit from team to individual was difficult at first, but then getting out on that floor by yourself was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And now I'm back east, obviously. I traveled back, just need to be closer to my family. My whole family's out on this East Coast, and I'm a little bit of a homebody, so being able to get down to my parents, who there might be a need for me to get down there quickly, just was the right move for me to come back east. And this job opportunity up here in Boston presented itself, a full-time CrossFit coaching opportunity. So that's where I am now, and we kind of have this team put together here that we're gonna goal is to crush it this season.
That was gonna be our question.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah, right before we had you on, like we're like, do you think she's gonna go individual? Because she had that spot, but she has been posting that with her team, but we don't know.
Yeah. So one of the things moving back east, like in my head, I was panicked. Like I am coming back to notably one of the hardest regions, just in regards to how many gyms there are per square mile in the east region.
Yeah.
It's just, there's tons, right? So I was nervous about that. And one of the things my coach at the time told me is that I want to be the kind of athlete that no matter where I am, I qualify because I've put in the hard work, whether it's an easy region or it's a hard region. And basing like a life decision off of a region is silly anyway. But I came out here and the opportunity to go team presented itself, and I hopped right on board. I played a team sport my whole life, and the experience with Parallax was like nothing tops that year. Like that was one of the best experiences of my entire life, and I know the ultimate goal for me is to qualify for the games as an individual, and I see myself doing that, but I have a lot of growing to do within this sport. Like like you said, I went from just kind of doing class workouts to then like training with a team. And then I went to the West Coast where my coaches were remote. I've never really like done this whole thing with eyes on me, like a coach present, teammates or even just other coaches like who are still athletes, like looking at me right there with me, being able, like sending film into a coach is great. And I think that a lot can be said for remote coaching, but right there, game time, them changing something during the workout, during the lift, whatever it might be, has been, I can't even tell you how much I've improved just in these last couple months being up here. So that's really exciting. But I also know that I have like a lot of work to do. In my big gymnastics, lots of things I need to work on there. Endurance, like just all the little things that I think I can give my best effort as a teammate and still work on those things to eventually go individual and eventually reach that goal. So to answer your question the longest way possible, I'm going team this year.
Yay!
I like it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What was it like finishing 22nd? Like,
Wow.
yeah, so like you finish 22nd, and like you said, you had that month. Is that something where you're rethinking everything that you did? Or are you somebody who is really happy with just, damn, like, I can't believe I even played? Like, it's almost like, I feel like it's like you want to be so proud of being there, but it's like, it's got to be a little bit of like inner conflict, I'd imagine.
Definitely. And it was a new region, so I didn't know anyone. I didn't know, like, teams maybe from the last year. Like, people still say people's names in the sport, and I'm like, wait, who? Like, so I had a lot of people saying, oh, don't worry, this person's going team, or this person's going team. And there was a girl who qualified a couple spots ahead of me, and she messaged me on Instagram, and she was like, hey, girl, like, I was in your position last year. Don't worry, this girl, this girl, this girl, this girl. Like, she named, like, 4 girls that were going team. She's like, you're in. Like, I know it can be a crazy waiting experience, like, waiting time where you're just, you know, kind of biting your nails about if you're going to qualify or not. She's like, I was in your position last year, and someone reached out to me, so I'm just going to let you know these girls are going team. So that was pretty cool. I had no idea who she was. And that, like, is a test to, like, how just awesome the sport can be anyway. How she was, like, going to be my competition, but she's like, put your mind at ease, like, you're all right, kind of thing. So I kind of, looking back, I laughed because 22 was my jersey number. That's, like, my lucky number.
Ah.
And, so I was sitting in 22nd. I'm like, no matter what, like, this is a pretty cool, just, like, whole season experience anyway. Like, and then she messaged me that. I was like, okay, well, let's get to regionals training then.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's like that. Do you keep training or just go have some Ben and Jerry's and, like,
right. Well,
watch Julia Roberts movies?
My Saturday night. Yeah, it was cool of her to reach out, and then I, you know, just kind of put my focus into what we thought was going to be good regionals training, and just kind of, you know, even though I shouldn't have touched the barbell, goodbye.
I think it's awesome that you mention the power of surrounding yourself with people that are, like, wanting, like, you want to be a better person, whether it's a personality or, like, things they're doing that way, or just how they're training, or just, like, that kind of discipline in those areas. I think that says a lot. Would you say that was probably, like, the biggest thing that contributed to, like, your acceleration so quickly?
Absolutely. I, like, can't even say it enough how just, like, the training environment, the support, and then, like I mentioned, just having, like, eyes on me as, like my training partners are my coaches. And I laugh because I think of people that you have your physical age, but then I think of people having CrossFit ages too. Like, my best friend out west, Caitlin, like, who I trained with, like, leading up to regionals last year, she is younger than me, but she's older than me because she's been doing this thing for so long. Like, I look up to her as an athlete, and just, like, everything that she does in the gym, like, she just, like, taught me so much, probably more than she ever even realized. And that's the same thing out here. Like, 2 out of the 3 people on my team are younger than me, but, like, I respect this 22-year-old who has been doing this for so long, who's teaching me things literally every single day.
Yeah.
I learned something from him. And it's like, people have their CrossFit age, and I'm like a baby in the CrossFit
Yeah.
eyes. But, like,
A good way to think of it.
yeah, like, they're, physically they're younger than me, but I'm like, I feel like I don't know shit. Tell me all the things I want to learn. But it's been cool, like, going back to coaching CrossFit too. Like, I got my L1, and I was so excited about, like, being able to be a coach, but I was still working full-time training. Like, I barely coached. And then I moved out west and I focused on the nutrition side of it all. Like, I never really coached CrossFit. And then I moved to Boston and they just like threw me right into the fire. And I'm coaching, I'm a full-time coach now.
Yeah.
And being like learning to be a better coach has also made me a better athlete because, I'm watching these guys coach classes and I'm like, oh, yeah, you should do that.
Yeah.
And then like can coach it better. And then I can also do it better. And it's like, yeah, surrounding myself with the training environment, these people that just like make me a better athlete every single day. It's pretty cool. And to your point about like the mental side of it too, like they help me be a better person just in general, which is pretty rad. Like working on patience, working on like communication and just like things. I feel like I've just learned so much in the past couple months. Like, it's just wild. But, yeah surrounding myself, putting myself, with these people every day is I feel very lucky.
I know. One of them's Cody Mooney.
Oh, yeah.
Those that are not watching the video of this, I'm fanning myself.
We like to call him the specimen because he's just easy on the eyes.
Yes, he is.
I love it. And he's an animal and like the nicest human. So it's like learning all the things.
You look like you had a question, Riki, before I started fanning myself.
Well, I was going to ask, like, because you still coach nutrition, correct?
Correct.
So, do you find it easier? Because I would imagine it's probably easier to coach CrossFit than it is nutrition. So what's your take on those?
That's a good question. So to me, coaching CrossFit is harder.
Really?
So I have spoken with my boss and my fellow coaches and everything here, and I think that's because of my confidence level in like how much I've done it. Like now coaching nutrition and all of that, that's so fun to me. It's like, I mean, there's the hard parts of it, obviously, especially with like, you know.
Yeah. Just stubborn people, yes and no.
For me, it's like the confidence in coaching CrossFit. Like, I just have been lacking it because of my experience level. Like my hours on the floor as a coach are not that many compared to, the people that I coach with and just anyone really. Like, I'm obviously working on that and working closely with, my boss and the other coaches at the gyms to be the best coach I can be for our members. But I think, like, if you had asked, like, this, I'm confident in my nutrition coaching, and I'm less so in my CrossFit coaching solely because I just haven't done it enough. So those are where that's a good question though. That's where that compared. Definitely difficult in different ways.
Yeah. Nutrition I feel like can be a little bit more emotional, but I mean CrossFit has that too with people that just have those mental barriers of like, oh, the I can't monster is like vicious. I'm just like, stop it! Like, oh.
I with Kelsey though, because yesterday Dan texted me. He's like, "Hey, can you come in because I need you to do a foundations class with this new person." I'm like, I've had my level 1 for like 5 years, and you're having me coach finally. And so like, I totally get it, like the whole confidence thing. So, but I was okay with it because I was like, well, he doesn't know what he's doing at all, so I can like mess up and he won't even know. Because
my Monday night, my last thing that I do Monday night is I coach the on-ramp. The 7 p.m. on-ramp. And it's the exact same thing. Like, okay, well, they're looking at me like I'm this professional in what I'm doing, even though I might say something I'm like, shouldn't have said that. Or like, but still learning, they're still getting better. But to your point of the like can't monster, like one of the things on Monday nights for the on-ramp is box jumps. So like we have those soft boxes that like you can range from 4 inches off the ground all the way up, right? So I always get out a bunch of those, and I'm like, okay, we're adults, and we're in this like weird gym playground thing. We have ropes and rings and pull-up bars, but we're not used. Kids are used to jumping up and down off of things all the time, but as adults, we don't jump up onto a box like often. So I always, even if they look super athletic and they're like, oh, I can do a 36-inch box jump, I always say that because the fear of going from the floor to jumping up on something can be real for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. So,
yeah, that's always kind of cool, though, Monday nights where I can, like, watch people kind of get over that fear of jumping onto a box.
Yeah, that's probably, like you're saying, that's probably the biggest one. I feel like that is, like, the biggest mental thing. Like, people that cannot look at that box and, like, it just scares the shit out of them. I'm like, all right, let's put it next to a pole just in case you go crazy. You have that there, like, just to feel better. Like, you'd be crazy. Like, it's wild to think of, like, the things that, like, give you comfort. It's like, the pole isn't really doing anything, but if it makes you feel better putting your box next to a pole, then okay, let's do it. So I'd be curious to hear what would you say to somebody either who sees you on Instagram or maybe hears you on this podcast and is thinking, wow, like seeing themselves in maybe like where you were in 2014, 2015, like maybe did some athletics in high school or college, or still maybe are doing some athletics, like, but their softball league has really turned into just an avenue for weeknight drinking. But has either aspirations or, like, wants to do it, but maybe is, like, a little fearful or, again, has that, like, I can't monster of, like, almost that you're, like, a fluke. Like, what would you tell somebody that, like, wants to get started on the journey, but doesn't either know where to begin or just doesn't have that confidence? What would you, like, what are some tips that you'd give them?
Like, what would you say to 2014 Kelsey?
Yes, that was a long-winded way of asking that very elegant question.
Man, that's a very good question. Definitely, like, one of the biggest things in that question for the sport, but, like, life in general, is, like, believing in myself. And I know that, like, that's maybe the corniest thing to say, but, like, going through high school, college, sports, like, I just kind of always nodded my head, like, yeah, I'm the good girl. Like, okay, I'm out on the soccer field, kind of like as the enforcer. Like, I can shoot the ball from 45 yards out. That's why they like me up here. And I can also slide tackle girls. And, you know, like, I was always like the big girl. And I always had this role. And I guess I never felt like, parents aside, because my parents are the best, I never felt like fully believed in, and personally, like, never really believed in myself enough, and the people around me, I think, like, I just never really felt that, putting my effort into something that I found so much joy in, like, people, CrossFit is crazy because we die on the floor after a workout, but, like, the happiness that it brings me, like, I don't know, I like believing that I can do something even if I can't at that moment. Like, I was 205 pounds and I got my ring muscle up. Like, because I mean, you tell me I can't, and that's gonna, like, fuel me. But believing in myself, believing in yourself, and enjoying it, because, like, I keep saying, the moment I'm not having fun doing this anymore, I'll find something else. But it's been this long where, like, I just feel so lucky every single day that I get to literally do what I love, both as my job and that, but, like, people say, like, you're a professional athlete, and I'm like, what? No, I'm not. Like, I'm just doing what I love, which is crazy, but those are probably probably like the most like cliche things to tell people, but obviously my athletic background, genetics, like all that kind of stuff has to do with it too. Like not all beginners, a year and a little into CrossFit can clean and jerk 225.
Yeah.
But like I also couldn't flip upside down to a handstand. Like there are obviously like the like genetic parts to all of it, but
yeah.
The mental, your brain is a muscle too. You have to train that. So, like you talk to yourself the most you talk to any person ever. So if you're always saying these negative things to yourself, or there's no way I could do that, or whatever it might be, you're gonna eventually start to believe that. So like getting that shift where you can be like going sub 4 on this 18.2 workout, in my head I'm like, oh, I could just do that. But one day I'm going to do that, even though right now that's not possible. that bar. But like just those kinds of like mental shifts, I think that change from 2014 to now is the biggest thing.
Well, and you actually are reading a book that I read as well, Daily Stoic, right? Which is pretty awesome. So, and that helps. Like, that's like those little nuggets.
Little nuggets. Some of them go right over my head. I'm like, okay. That was a movie.
Maybe I'll get that in 2019.
But yeah, I love that. I listened to Justin Suda's podcast. If you've ever heard of him.
No.
Kind of like a mental training. I've actually spoken with him on the phone a few times. He dropped into CrossFit Fenway, which was fun. He works with like professional football and baseball players, just like on the mental side of it all. So I listen to his podcast when I remember to. It's just like a short, like the Daily Stoic, like it's just like a short little 3 to 5 minutes, quick kind of nugget of information.
I'll have to look that up.
That positive self-talk is like life-changing.
Yeah. So this will come out tomorrow, which is when 18.3 will come out. So what are you hoping to see in 18.3?
Oh. Yeah. So Neil Maddox, and who else is gonna be doing it? Caspar. I don't know how to say his name. Kyle
Caspar. Right.
Now, in my head, I was like, okay, with Neil Maddox, it's going to be something heavy.
Yeah.
It's super strong. So, I don't know. I'm hoping we're done with burpees.
I know.
Here's crossed, but
I'm thinking
2 years.
17.5 is going to be repeated. So, I don't think we're going to see thrusters or doubles yet. Maybe deadlifts.
Was that your dog?
Yeah, he's knocked out right now. and he's farting, so
this week we're gonna have ring muscle up.
Oh, okay.
I think that's good gymnastics.
Yeah, I think that's
I think that
kind of want it to be chipper
I
style.
We'll repeat that thruster double under one.
You do want to or don't want to?
I don't want that one.
Ugh, me? I don't want it. I just think it's going to happen because it sucked so horribly. But 16.5 was a repeat of 15.5. So to do it, double it again is to be interesting. So I don't know if it will, but I'm like, that was really horrible. And I think more horrible than people expected. So I still joke with the person who was judging me that year because he kept doing that whole like, okay, we're gonna go in 3, 2, 1. I'm like, no, we're not. Stop counting. Like, stop. I'll go when I'm ready. Like,
I did the same thing with Dan. He called me. He was just like, because like I'm obviously not gonna go with the team if we have team. But But he's like, Riki, I need you to go fast on burpees for 18.2. You don't have to worry about what you get for the clean. He's like, I just need you to go fast. And I was like, okay, like, I can't walk. Like, I did it Monday as soon as I got back from the Arnold, and, like, I cannot walk.
Oh.
Yeah.
After travel, too.
Yeah. And then I was telling Brandon my diet was protein bars and wine the whole weekend, so.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm sure you're not alone in that diet on weekends, Riki.
If they repeat, I hope they repeat the snatch chest to bar one from last year.
Oh, that was a good one. And we haven't seen a barbell snatch. So I actually just said that last night at the gym. I asked if people thought it would be, if we'd see a barbell snatch in it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Fun. Anything else you want to put out there before we wrap up?
What's your handles and anywhere that anybody can find you?
Yeah, it's just Kelsey Kiel for Instagram and Twitter.
Okay.
And then I just started vlogging.
I was going to say that.
It's like the first one, when I went to like edit my videos, I was like, I have not enough content here. I didn't do this well. So the 82 one's going to be better. I'm still working on all the editing. But that's just, how do I find my YouTube handle? It's connected to my email. I know that.
Well, they should be able to search your name.
Yeah, if they just search your name, they should find it.
But it's Kelsey Kiel then.
Yeah.
Now that I remember.
Yeah.
So that's my, Kelsey Kiel. It's my YouTube channel. I guess I have a YouTube channel now.
Sweet.
I'm working on that. So I'm going to do one for every open workout, and then like probably a bi-weekly one after that.
Fun. That'll be exciting. And
Yeah,
you have
like-
lots of fun Instagram stories too, so people should check those out.
Well, that's what people are like, you need to vlog because you just kind of talk on your Instagram story all the time. I'm like, okay. You like to hear me talk. It's still strange and still kind of getting, all of it is still like, I don't know, kind of surreal, the whole Instagram, where I am in my life right now. It's just,
I know. One of my members is going to be really jealous that you were on here today, because you were actually at a gym like a mile away from us this summer. Because I'm in our gym's in Ben Salem. And he was so jealous that you were there.
Rage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Small world.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were in PA.
Yeah, we're literally like a mile away from them, like on Bristol Pike. Yeah.
Nice. I grew up like Montgomery County.
Okay. That's what I was wondering, because I know Manders is from around here too, and I'm like, oh, we're both having you on, and you're both from around this area. So, fun. Well, thank you again so much for joining us and for letting us be your first podcast.
Yeah.
Yay. So, and good luck on the rest of the Open and the rest of the season. We'll be watching you, as I'm sure everybody listening will be watching as well. And I'm going to East Regional, so maybe I'll get to say hi.
Yeah, we're hoping to. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Dan's killing it.
Yeah, but like he won't record his videos. He's like, meh, I'm over it. So,
That was the tell before.
yeah.
He burpeed really fast.
Yeah.
What was his time for burpees?
It's like 4:16 or something.
Jesus.
How do people, larger humans, get over the bar that fast?
I don't get it.
That's crazy. I just watched Brooke's YouTube video, and I don't think she even finished that fast, and she was literally flying, so I can't imagine the speed that he had to maintain for that. That's crazy. So. But, alright, thank you again. We really appreciate it. Like always, we will be back next week with episode 50. Oh my god, can't believe you guys have been listening to us for that long. So, but alright everybody, have a great week. Kelsey, again, thank you. And until next time, bye.